Okay, so this is embarrassing, but I started doing this and saw that it had not registered me clicking the record button. So I've watched like the first four touches or something. So my bad. I like to do this all in one go where I haven't seen it before. But it's okay. It's just the first four touches. So I'll just do my best to try to do it again. And after that, it definitely will be, live as always or raw as always. Okay, so on the left, it's going to be Toldo. They're just standing there for the presentation, but Toldo's left-handed, so he's going to be on the left side, just like in how it's showed on the bottom of the screen. And Lee is going to be on the right side. Toldo trains in Frascati. At least he was at this time. I actually don't know if he's training in Frascati right now. Frascati is the main training center in Italy. Italy has a very decentralized system. They don't have like an INSEP, like an official training center. So each club kind of does its own thing, and I think that's what makes them so great. It's kind of similar in the U.S. So the clubs have a very very intense competition. Apparently, Lee's getting a yellow card here, maybe for some equipment failure. And so this intense competition between the clubs, I think, creates such a healthy competitive environment, so that there's just so many good fencers in Italy. But they do have this Frascati, which everybody kind of gravitates towards eventually, at least. And yeah, Toldo trains there, so he's got a great training group, great training partners, and he takes lessons there as well. I don't remember the name of this coach, but he's quite famous, and I think he's the same coach who gives lessons to Yavador. But I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I think. And Lee, of course, from South Korea, extremely good fencer and extremely fast. For a long time, he was considered the fastest fencer on the circuit. He may still be considered the fastest fencer on the circuit. Very great parry post flick to the shoulder from Toldo. Very nice. The Koreans, I find, are very athletic all the time. They're always fast. This was, again, Toldo committed first. They both started first, but then Toldo committed first. So, again, touch for Toldo. Whereas the Italians will kind of try to slow down the situation and then sort of react to their opponents and try to make the right choice from a close distance. And so they want to have the final decision to commit. That's a term from actually an epee book called Epee 2.6, which I think is quite good. Oh, I forgot his name. Johan something. But Swedish guy who won the 1980 Olympics. I digress. Final decision to commit. It's exactly what it sounds like. You kind of make a pressure, the opponent can make a decision to commit, and then you kind of have the final decision to commit, depending on if you're going to parry or not. And of course, that can go on ad infinitum. So it's just a helpful sort of framework. Very nice attack from Lee. You see, it's fast and straight, kind of right off the line. I mean, he held his blade back, but he finished early with a long lunge to the flank. Neither of these fencers are very tall, but they're both very fast and athletic and explosive. So Lee going with a rather straight attack to the flank. Toldo should be kind of looking out for solutions to that. And second attention with remise from Toldo, but he didn't hit at all, and Lee hit off target. See how Toldo did opposition in 8? That's a possible solution to Lee going to his flank. It's a good solution, because if he's opposing an 8, it covers his flank. Pushing from Toldo, again short finish, again trying to do kind of little remise, and again he tried, but Lee shortened up the end of his attack, anticipating this step-in counterattack, where Toldo's sort of opposing maybe an 8, maybe in 6 a bit, but he's sort of like opposing into this outside line. Lee does a straight attack there. Toldo parry repost, misses off the back because it's a risky move to flick to the back, even though it was a very great first touch, and Lee lands with the remise. Pushing from Toldo, see how he's slowing it down? Slowing it down. Lee searched. Toldo thought about finishing, and now Toldo's going back, and he got the parry. Good solution against straight attacks. Oh, great. So he's pushing slow, pushing slow. Lee stepped in a bit too close, and Toldo managed to finish with basically just an advance, with an extension and an advance. And Lee tried to do sort of a 9. It's like a high preem, and then riposte and preem. Okay. 9 parry. Not everybody uses that system, but it's basically, it's something between like a preem and a 6. This looked like a, I don't know, I'd like to go back, but I'm not going to. This almost looked like a little bit of a counterattack from Lee with opposition in 4, which worked very well. And Lee loves those straight attacks, and he loves them because he gets them, but he's just also, so he's so fast that he gets them, but he's also so fast and so balanced that even if when he doesn't get them, he is usually very good at getting back out to do the counter parry or completely get out all the way. Very nice opposition in 8. Opposition in 8 is very strong when they're trying to go to your flank or your outside line. It's very, especially against the opposite hand. So if you're lefty, like how Toldo is, it's a great counterattack to do against a righty, which is what Lee is. And for Lee, it's also obviously good to do against Toldo. Wow, and he just did it. He just did it. Yeah, as soon as someone's going to the outside line, doing a step-in counterattack with opposition in 8, tends to be a good idea. Toldo's good with those parry 4 riposte flick to the shoulder / back, but he hit the arm this time. Okay, the referee said that the attack from Lee was no, and the attack from Toldo landed, and he made sure that Toldo knew it. So so when he saw that Toldo wasn't looking, he repeated the action to Toldo. It's a very nice attack from Toldo with a running attack and then getting the tip out early, but Lee managed to duck, and it looked like kind of use his forearm to parry the blade and get his tip in. So very good feeling from Lee and very good sort of awareness of Toldo's tip and how to deflect it. Good attack from Toldo. Yeah, Lee can't... Yeah, I kind of agree with that call, at least at the first view. I understand it. He's saying that it wasn't Toldo's turn. That basically Toldo had a turn, but his riposte was passé, or his attack was passé, then it was Lee's turn. Lee's counterattacks have really been working quite well. Even there, he got an action without right-of-way, so it was more of a remise in this case. Parry riposte by Lee. Yeah, and I was just about to say, he needs to be careful not to get lulled into a false sense of security with the counterattack and remise and just sort of keep doing it. And then right then, that's when he did a parry riposte. That's exactly what you got to do. You have to be switching it up. Great infighting action. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, Toldo was very nervous about not getting the touch there because he feels that the referee was calling halt because of a core or because of some sort of rule break that Lee was causing. And Toldo would have felt that would have been extremely unfair to call a halt, prevent Toldo from getting the touch because of something unfair that Lee was doing. You can't punish Toldo for something that Lee is doing. Couldn't hear very... Toldo saying he deserves a card for something or other, and the ref said no, and so Toldo just gets the touch and not the touch and the card for Lee. Very nice attack from Toldo. He has these beautiful touches sometimes, but it got off target. But still, it's great setup. Tip out in front. Parry riposte was passé. And then the infighting, and then Lee ended up with a counter, an off target. Apparently to the leg. Lee really loves to go, to do these level changes in the infighting. He goes down super low, and he can get there from the lunge. He can get there from all these different positions. And then he jumps up, and he's like a bouncy ball. He's always moving his target around, using his arm and his legs and everything to just make him very hard to hit. Very nice counter parry repost from Toldo. Although Toldo's not as big, although Toldo is bigger than Lee, or maybe because he's bigger than Lee, he's not quite as bouncy and hard to hit. So he relies a little bit more on doing parry reposts, on controlling the distance, on feeling the right choice. Whereas Lee is able to rely more on his speed and second intentions, remises, counterattacks. Of course, Toldo relies on these things too, but it's just not to the same extent. You see Toldo is looking much more for the first repost, for example. Yeah, I agree. It's off target. Ooh, the blade is like an S, so he needs to straighten it out. He's not bending the blade on the strip because that would be an immediate yellow card. So whenever you want to bend your blade using the floor, you have to do it next to the strip. It's 8-8. Let's see, I'm thinking about what I would tell them to do. I think Toldo's doing a pretty good job in the defense. And Lee is doing a very good job, you know, in these second attentions. So we'll see. In the counterattacks, he's also getting it. But like I said before, he has to be careful not to do it too much. Like, he has to switch it up with parry post, even if he doesn't get the touch. That's one that Lee has gotten now more than once as well, where he pushes aggressively with his blade back. Toldo thinks he can get the counterattack, also because he has gotten the counterattack a few times, and then Lee really shortens up his finish and manages to get it. So Toldo could maybe try to do a false counterattack, parry post while going back to try to open the distance. This was very nice attack. He push, and then he does this short little finish. And yeah, the short finish, I love the short finish, because if your opponent counterattacks like Lee did there, then you have a very good chance of hitting them. For his parry post for Toldo, I think you should give it. Ask for a video. He doesn't ask for, he should just ask for a video. I really think it's his. But maybe he knows. You know, the thing is, you have to know kind of when to ask for a video. Because if the referee says, I called halt first, that's something that is not going to be reflected in the video, and then the referee will just go and look at the video, and he'll come back and he'll say, yeah, but I called halt first, so it doesn't matter. Very nice attack from Toldo. This is like twice in a row now that he's gotten this, where he does this sort of, this attack that gets Lee to counterattack with a duck, and then he hits to the flank. This is a very nice second intention from Lee. Fight for the middle. Yeah, Toldo's won both of these fight for the middle touches. I call them fight for the middle touches. I may be the only one who does. But it just tries to describe when they both go off the line immediately and try to get a touch. It's a bit of a Rochambeau situation with direct attack, parry repost, and compound attack. Pushing from Policio is this kind of a slow push. He's looking to see what to do. But because of that, he didn't trigger Lee's counterattack. Instead, he triggered Lee's attack when he gave up his attack, and Lee went very straight, and Toldo was finally able to get the circle 6 flick to the shoulder, which he did get on his very first touch, except he did it there with a 4, I think. So, yeah, I agree with Toldo. It's a yellow, which is a red card now. That's correct. That's correct. I understand why Lee did it. He's trying, but the thing is, it's a core to avoid the touch, which is exactly what it is, and it's not really the first time Lee's done it. I feel the referees are sometimes very lenient with this. I mean, to a certain extent, you have to be able to try to, you know, defend yourself by getting in close is fine, but there are limits to that. Here Toldo kind of did it. Toldo was kind of pushing more, but he didn't do it to the extent that Lee was doing it, so for me it's correct that he didn't get a card there. Again, he's trying to get that parry repost to the back. It's risky, but it's also kind of working. But the question is it paying off? Because Lee's also managed to get him in the flank, like right there. So that's often the calculations that are very, very difficult to make, which is why it ends up being about feeling, or informed instinct is really kind of what it is. Trained instinct. So should he try it again? I mean, he is leading 13-11, so he does have a little bit more room to take risk than Lee does. At the same time, if what you're doing is working, you should kind of keep doing it. It's an infighting touch to Lee. I've kind of lost track who has been winning these infighting touches, but I feel that the advantage is to Lee in the infighting touches. So unless Toldo is like really sure that he is winning the infighting touches, I would be trying to avoid it. This time there was a fight for the middle, and Lee just kind of fleshed with his arm really far out. I mean, in this case, I do think that it should have been Lee's attack kind of anyway, but it is close. And as I've said before in my other videos, you are kind of leaving, when you're both doing direct attacks, you're letting the ref decide. You know, you're putting your fate in the hands of the referee. You're making it a dealer's choice situation. It's better to be a little bit clearer. But if you go very, very straight off the line, that is a little legitimate choice. And if your opponent does it as well, then it should be simultaneous if they really are both without hesitation. Yeah. It's not a bad try from Toldo to get that last touch in there before the minute break. I mean, he got pretty close, and he was ready to go out. Now it's 13-13, and it's anyone's game. You know, it was 13-11. Now it's 13-13. Toldo, I think, had some really good success with those two attacks. And Lee had a success with the infighting, and then he had success with an attack. So, and Toldo generally has the success, has been having the success in the fight for the middle. So what that means, in my opinion, is that Toldo should win the middle. That means that he should go right off the line, aggressive and fast. He's calling them back to the guard line very early. 10 seconds left. Like, let them talk to their coach. Anyway, I think they were under a lot of pressure to make this event sort of perfect in every way. So yeah, I think Toldo should try to win the middle. So go hard and fast in the middle. Try to win it by either going straight or compound or parry repost, but try to win the middle. And then go into the attack and then finish short, basically. Come on, win the middle. There you go, like that. Oh no, but then he stopped and went back. Let's see what happens. Okay, now push. Now push. Don't go back. Don't go back. Don't stop. Push. Parry repost from Lee. Very nice parry repost from Lee. Off target. What should Lee do? Lee should honestly, he should foil Toldo's plans by pushing when he can, and by forcing infighting. And this long attack that he does, that's also been working for him. But here, if I were Lee, I would try to force the infighting. And Toldo, he should try to finish. Whoa, nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. I was saying he should finish short, so definitely not that. Saying he should finish short so that he can do a counter parry post if he needs to. But this was excellent. He took the blade with a kind of a flesh and managed to get the tip in as Lee tried to counterattack from a short distance. That's basically the first time that he's done that. Yeah, he's calling video for Core. He's asking if he can take off his mask. Yeah. So in my opinion, Lee should get the card if he created a core to avoid the touch. He's not going to give it. I know it's tough at this score, but the thing is, I've had opponents who are they're really using core as a strategy, and it's really not fair, you know? But I'm not sure Lee was doing that. Very nice attack from Lee. It's 14-14. Again, it's anybody's game. I think whoever takes the risk in the middle will end up with the attack. Ooh. Wow. Okay, yeah. Well done, taking the risk in the middle. He did start like a little bit compound, but when he saw that Toldo was even more compound, he finished straight. So it's a very good reaction to that situation and good finish. Great bout from both of them. Toldo had a really, really great parry post flick to the backs. He had some really nice attacks that convinced Lee to duck, and then he managed to hit to the flank. So very with sort of these short little attacks, very, very nice. He also had a really good running attack there in the end. He had some good. Did he have some good infighting moments? He definitely had. He definitely was doing infighting very well. The ref didn't give him the one touch that I kind of thought he should have. He did. Oh, he did. He definitely had one really good infighting at the end of the strip. And Lee had some really beautiful long attacks. He had a good infighting moment. The last touch for the middle. So yeah, it's very, very good, very varied strategies. They both had counterattacks on each other. And they both had basically almost every category of touch. So it's really good. They hit different targets. Really great bout.